everyone, it's Gwen from Hummingbird Tarot, and today I'm doing another video in my series of RWS verses, and that is where I take a tarot deck that has the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith images, and today I'm looking at the Universal Weight tarot deck, and I compare it against a deck that is based on the traditional images, but it's a new interpretation of the deck. So the deck that we're looking at today is Ethereal Visions Illuminated Tarot deck, and this comes in a really nice hard box, and it came with your traditional little white book. The size of it is a little larger, but there really isn't anything more in here. You can see how much empty space is on each of the pages. No more than some major keywords and key items for each of the cards. So if you want a more in-depth book, you're going to have to buy one in addition to this. It's good for just your basics, but for beginners, it might not be enough. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified every week when I upload a new video. So the purpose of this video is that it's something that I always did when I first got a new deck of tarot cards, to compare them against the traditional images, and I would just sit down and look at the cards next to each other. It's something I still like to do, just, I don't know, kind of an old habit, and sometimes it's difficult to do that because you don't have a deck of cards that's in order, and it takes a lot of time to sit down and put that deck in order. So I keep this Universal Weight Tarot deck. This is one that I usually keep in order so that I can use it for things like that. Or if I want to quickly find a card to discuss it with someone, I can go in this deck and just pull it out quickly because it's in order. I meant to talk to you about a little bit about the deck, what the back of the deck looks like. So the Universal Weight is just the night sky here, and the cardstock for the Ethereal Visions deck is quite a bit thicker than the US Games version. So I would consider the US Games version of cardstock to be very similar to what you would get in a typical poker deck. And if we look at the thickness, you can see that the cardstock here is thicker and the cards are bigger as well. So this deck is actually a little bit harder to shuffle for me. Because it's thicker, it's harder to riffle shuffle, and especially because it's bigger, it's hard for I have small hands, for me to hold it with my small hands. So the Universal Weight Tarot deck just comes in your standard tuck box. So now we're just going to go ahead and, oh, here's the back of this one too. So this one is reversible. They're both reversible. Let's go ahead and take a look at the deck, and we're just going to shift through it. So this deck to me up close looks like it's been colored using colored pencils. And these images, the Universal Weight Tarot deck, it's a lot more vibrant. The yellows are very strong in this deck here. So let's just start flipping through here. And something I really love is the gold gilding that's going through here. I don't know if you can see them there's a lot of glare. This is not a high gloss finish, it's a matte finish. However, that gold gilding that's in there is very bright. And there's some of it going through in the borders of every single card. It really adds another level of energy to the deck that's quite spectacular. This is a good one. The High Priestess has a lot more of that gold gilding. Okay, so High Priestess. I do put clothes on the naked people in my decks. Lots of different reasons. I have a video all about it. I can link that here if you're interested. Why I do it, how I do it, techniques I use, that kind of thing. As you can see as we're going through these, the images so far have been very similar. This one's a little different. This looks more like death. One thing I do like about this deck is that it's a little more basic. There's a lot less going on than in some decks that you get where the cards are extremely busy and it's hard to distinguish what you want to look at. That can also be helpful if you're a beginner reader, to give you lots of information to pull from. But you'll also see that the shape of the gilding, it tells its own story. It's looking like leaves and maybe some flowers up here. So you can pay attention to that and use that in your reading as well. There's death. I'm just noticing the person grieving here. Now, something that Ethereal Visions has done, they've added a few cards to the deck. And as with any other deck that adds cards to it, you can leave those in and read with those, or if you're more comfortable taking them out, you can do that too. I've actually left them in, which is unusual for me. Typically when there's extra cards thrown in there, I don't always like them to be there if it's a standard Rider-Waite-Smith based deck. But in this deck, I think it works and I like it. I'll show you those cards in just a moment. They're coming up. So here we go. We've got the Well, and they're at the end of the major Arcana cards. The Artist. And then we're going back to the Ace of Cups. So I do like those two cards because they offer an energy that's different than the cards that are found in the rest of the deck. Usually when people throw in extra cards, they feel very similar to me to another card that already exists in the deck. So I sometimes feel like they're duplicating another card that already exists, and that's why sometimes I'll pull them out. But I don't feel that energy here. They feel different. Just gonna keep going through here. Looking very similar. This looks like a woman, and I appreciate them adding more of the feminine to help balance out the images. I do feel like the standard Rider-Waite-Smith deck is a little more male than female. There's not as good of a balance as there is in some of the other decks that are based on Rider-Waite-Smith. So I'm appreciating that. I don't remember when this deck came out. 2017. I thought I had made sure that the cards were in the same order, but they weren't. So here's the Pentacles. So I have to say the Ethereal Visions deck feels very romantic. Kind of reminds me almost of a Victorian feel. Much softer, muted tones. This is actually feeling a little 70s to me. I've actually had this deck for a while. Both decks for a while. And I should mention, as in all of my videos, any resources that I review, cards or anything else, in any of my videos, I do put a link to them down in the description of the video. So if you're interested in finding a link to those on Amazon, sometimes it's a link right to the author's website. That's the place to go to find it in all of my videos. I do like this because this one can sometimes be, you know, you're being haunted by demons. A lot of them are self-imposed, but this is, I don't know if you can see that, how well. There's a lot of people in her space. This almost looks like someone who's blindfolded too. There you go. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was helpful. And if you have any comments about the video or anything else, you have any burning questions about tarot, feel free to leave me a note down in the comments and I'll take a look at that. And I appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate you watching my videos. Thanks for stopping by, and I will see you on the next time around.